Hi, my name is Claire.
Hi, I'm Jinping. So actually today the purpose of our video is actually to share a little bit with you, right, what are some of the problems that buyers face when they are actually choosing a harmonized or non-harmonized project, and also how it will impact you as a buyer. Okay, so let's move on.
Because actually for the whole of last year, you've heard for all the GLS lands that are already put up for sale, they will all be under harmonized. But if let's say there is an on-board project, for example, then those will fall under non-harmonized. So what we want to go through today is, like what Jinping mentioned, what are the problems that we face today. More importantly, how does it affect your purchase when it comes to looking at size, price, and per square foot, and then how will it perform in the resale market. So what is the main things that we've been hearing from buyers in the market today?
I think one of the common problems I see on the ground is that, in conclusion, I end up buying a smaller unit, but my PSF is higher.
Yeah, because on paper, the size is actually smaller for almost the same kind of size.
Correct. So I think this is one of the biggest problems that a lot of buyers face, and this is where you also want to come together and actually maybe do a bit of like me busting whether it's actually true or not true. So moving forward.
So a quick one on what's harmonization. I think most of you already know, but what we want to highlight, just a quick brief one, is that right now all the floor areas are measured to the middle of the wall, like right here. What's not counted is aircon ledges. And so I think we've heard a lot of people saying that okay, all these aircon ledges are not included. Another thing that is also quite important is that some of them, they have built loft units and high volume ceilings. Those airspace, that what we call it, will not be included under harmonization anymore. What they're also saying is that whatever that you buy into, the actual square footage is exactly your full living area.
Okay. So I just want to share with you, Claire. Okay, just to highlight, we're not doing project comparison today. Why I took these two projects out, right? Because this is actually GFA harmonized, this is not. Also, and they are the latest one, so it's easy to compare. So can I ask you, based on these two layouts, are there very significant difference between the layouts?
In terms of functionality, I mean, both are 3 bedrooms, and they also have a home shelter, enclosable kitchen, 3 functional bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So on a layout wise, if you really don't look at the square footage on its own, right, you really don't see much of a difference.
Okay, and you realize between these two, right, actually there are about 10 square meter in difference on paper. Let's see how true this is. I actually done a breakdown in terms of the unit types. Okay, of course, granted that some of the balconies or like the master bedroom, some are slightly bigger, some are slightly smaller. But you realize the key differences is what we see here. You realize, right, this 4.7 square meters of aircon ledge is not included in the harmonized project, and this translates to a bigger living space. So you realize for this example that we see, right, it's a smaller unit, but then actually you have more livable space.
Yeah, so aircon ledge alone is about 50 square feet, which is quite significant, right? Splitting into different bedroom, kitchen and all that, right? What is the actual difference? A harmonized project may even give you a more usable space to live in. Okay, so then the next question is, how do we choose them? Like, what's more important? Is quantum more important or per square foot more important? So let's look at these two projects. They are both in D15. This is a non-harmonized and this is a GFA harmonized project. And we want to look at the difference. So here, Grand Diamond 1098 square feet, right, you get a store here. In the Emerald of Katong 990 square feet, you get a study which can double up as a store as well. And here they also have provided you a 1 square meter store area. The price that has been transacted for both Grand Diamond and EOK, and then we look at the difference. So Grand Diamond 1098 square feet has already transacted at 2.5 per square foot, and in terms of the quantum is about 2.785. So Jinping, if let's say I buy Grand Diamond this particular unit at 2.785, how much must I sell to be able to make a decent profit?
Minimum also about 300k profit lah.
So at least about almost 3.1 lah. But if we look at the difference between what Grand Diamond and EOK has transacted for, so if let's say Grand Diamond's highest PSF accepted is already 2.5 per square foot, then EOK harmonized project, even though the size is smaller, by right, the PSF should be higher.
By logic, yes.
So we want to look at what EOK transacted for. So EOK 990 square feet, the units there have already transacted as low as 2,004 per square foot. So in terms of quantum, it's about 2.45 million. So then the question is, how much do I want to sell then to be able to see good profit, right? So that's where the difference is.
Okay, so this is actually an example that I actually did with my client where we are shortlisting to buy EOK. So we can see actually based on the transacted price in Grand Diamond, it's already about 2.4, about 2.5 plus. Because back then we only had an indicative of EOK, we don't have an exact price. So I was prepping my buyers to actually look at the unit at EOK. So I told them actually based on, let's say, if they ever come up with 2,005 PSF, right, if we buy a 990 square feet, in fact, we are actually saving about $310,000. Even if you go up to 2,006 PSF, we are still saving about 211,000.
So that's really like cushion for savings, right?
Most importantly, even if it's because of harmonized, the PSF become higher, which is by right the case, right? Actually, I still break even after 3 years. So I'll tell my clients, at the end of the day, we won't know exactly what is the price EOK is going to launch until the actual day itself. But can I say actually, if we can get to see something at 2005, 2006, actually it's a sure code. Yes, don't need to think one. Even at 2.7, if you really like the unit, you'll be quite sure that at least I'll be able to break even. So moving forward, another thing you also want to understand is in today's market, what is the affordability gap?
Yeah.
So what is this affordability gap? You realize in Singapore market, when we are looking at private market per se, you realize the cornerstone of all these buyers is only for one place. Do you know where you are?
HDB upgraders, especially for RCR and OCR properties.
Because these are where most HDB upgraders will desire to go into or want to stay, right? So you also need to understand if you are going to sell our unit in the future, will this biggest pool of buyers be able to afford it? So an average 4-room PTO price, this is roughly the quantum that we're looking at. If they will decide after 5 years at MOP, this will roughly be the selling price. And if I minus off my outstanding loan, etc., my estimated proceeds should be around 870,000. Say for example, they want to buy my buyer's unit at EOK. Say we buy at 2.4 million, right? I want to make about 500,000 at 2.95. The down payment plus stamp duty, right, will be about $860,000. You see, the sales proceeds here, will the buyer be able to afford?
Easier to upgrade, like gives them a firm reason.
Easier for them to accept because I don't have to dig into my savings. Because another thing, if let's say we look at Wen Diamond, okay, if I write 2.7, I sell at 3.25, also making 500,000. You realize the down payment is around how much? Almost 950. Okay, 864 versus 950. Can I ask you, as a homeowner today, if you know that you have sold your house, you already have a sales proceed around this amount, right? Will you be okay to pay extra $100,000 for your next purchase, top up from your own savings?
I think with family building these days, with kids and all that, I think what we also want to take note is one, not to over leverage, and the other one is not to dig into your savings so much here. So I think comfortably upgrading is good. So this is where the quantum is important.
That's why you see when we're up to resell EOK versus Grand Diamond, you realize this will be somewhere that people can genuinely accept it. Like inside to say that your exit is also stronger. Because end of the day, I'm sure when you want to sell fast. So I'm not saying either projects are good or no good. I'm just saying that based on numbers itself, it should give you an easier exit. Okay?
So in conclusion, what we want to also highlight here is that looking at per square foot may not be that accurate anymore. Because if you look at EOK at let's say 2.4 million versus Grand Diamond at 2.7 million, the entry is totally different, right? For almost the same kind of product. So on paper, your size may be bigger, but the usable area is the same. So does it then make more sense for you to be able to enter something that is smaller on paper, but then the quantum is a bit more palatable for you? Okay, so that front PSF is higher, but price, quantum is the same or lower. So ultimately for OCR and CCR properties, we want to look at this thing called affordability gap. We want to know that exit is strong, where we have buyers around the area or even outside of Central Core region coming to RCR to be able to afford comfortably to the next upgrade to a condo from a BTO.
I think in my opinion, right now, if you're looking at PSF, I think moving forward, PSF might become an illusion because right now we're in the phase of in between harmonized and non-harmonized. Because eventually, majority of the projects out there will already be harmonized. But now it's because it's in the so-called like a transition period. So you realize there is this comparison going on. But you realize if you compare harmonized and non-harmonized, in fact, the PSF will just not be apple-to-apple comparison. So that is why actually moving forward in today's market, right, I don't think we just should be looking at PSF or just bottom.
Yeah, actually if you look back at the bay window era, bay window is actually technically not really usable space. Then if you look at this era here today, actually the one that is harmonized, even though the on paper is smaller, might do you even better next time.
So understanding PSF and quantum in today's market, I feel is not enough. In fact, we want to analyze or rather understand a little bit, right, is what is the seller's mentality when they're selling, especially in this sense, we're talking about the developer. So if you are a seller with only one unit, you will of course make sure that you want to stack the highest profit possible because that's your only one chance. But if you're a developer with maybe 400-500 units, will we still do the same in today's market? That one we need to understand. Because can I say actually, if you actually understand a little bit more about the developer's behavior, in fact, it will even be easy for us to reduce our risk when we are buying.
Yeah. So I think what we want to also understand is, so for example for Ori, right, we have first to the 40th story, right? The first to 40th story can be easily in a 500 per square foot difference. So for the same unit type, you might be paying 500k more for 1000 square feet difference. So how do we understand how the developer price their units for you to be able to get basically the bang for your buck?
So in our next video, what we want to share, right, is to how we can understand the behavior of the developers that actually can help us to achieve two things. Number one, you can buy cheaper. At the same time, you can save. on PSF? Could that be something that you out there will be interested in? Or will you be interested in?
Yeah, of course. I think what we want to really understand, especially in today's market, is to how to choose the right unit so that you can maximize your profits, right? Because right now in today's market, the barrier to entry can be relatively high, right? We don't know what is coming in the next 1 year or so as well. So it's more and more important for you to be able to choose the right one. So if you're interested in understanding the variable pricing strategies, look out for our next video. You can stay tuned, and then we'll see you next week.
See you.